So we'll start today on the mat. And again, as always, let me know if you can't hear me. And then I'll just speak louder. So we're starting today on our backs, laying on the ground. So as you can see, I'm in my comfy clothes. It's going to be more of a comfy-esque yoga practice today, not as vigorous as last week. We like to do contrasting, 1 week more intense, next one less intense. So laying on our backs, and you can bend your knees if you like, and have so that your knees are together and your feet wide apart on the mat, and that supports your low back. If you're having any issues in your low back and you feel like you need that extra support from the ground, feel free to bend your knees. And we'll start today by closing your eyes, noticing where your low back and your feet and your shoulders and your head meet the mat. Noticing how that feels. Starting to notice your breath, and then taking your right hand, placing it on your belly, and left hand over your heart. Feeling your belly and your chest move as you inhale and exhale. And as we start our practice today, we're just going to set a short intention, a gratitude intention out into the universe before we start our movement today. Just to ground down into all those feel-good emotions that we can kind of induce in ourselves to help make life more enjoyable. So as you're here noticing your breath, I'd like you to call to mind one thing that you are grateful for. And this can be an array of things. It could be that tomorrow's the weekend, that we're coming into summer. It could be that you had an amazing phone call with a friend this past week, or you spent time with your family, or calling up a memory that you're grateful for. It could be any memory, maybe a milestone in your life that you're grateful that happened. Anything that can truly bring feelings of joy and gratitude, and start to feel into those emotions. We often expect things to happen in our external in order to make us happy or grateful. But realistically, we can call upon that gratitude, that joy, whenever we like. It just takes some practice. So I invite you to think of that thing and feel into the joy and the happiness and the gratitude that it brings you. And now that you felt into that emotion of gratitude, maybe reflecting on what event or what thing it was that actually gave you that gratitude. And through noticing what makes us happy and we're grateful for, we're able to really ground into what's most important to us in life. So we can recognize, oh, what made me grateful, what didn't make me grateful. It allows us to make better choices and really give us a clear focus on how we want to drive our future into more things that we're going to be grateful for. And from this place, I'd like you to slowly open your eyes. If you have your knees bent, you can extend them on forward, rocking your head side to side, placing your hands on the ground with your palms face up. Giving the back of your head a little massage here as you rock your head side to side. And then drawing your left knee into your chest, clasping your hands around that left knee, and then drawing circles. Drawing circles with your left knee here. on either side, clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever way feels best for you. Opening that hip, getting in that range of motion here, and then switch directions, opposite direction of your spinning your knee. Noticing if your hips are tight. Mine are. My left hip crease is giving me some attention. So just noticing how this feels. Trying to keep both hips on the ground and not rotating from your knees, just rotating right from your hips. And then from here, extending the left leg up towards the sky, flexing the left foot, and straightening and flexing that left foot. So straightening and then flexing. This is going to open as you straighten your left foot. You're going to feel that on the front of your leg and kind of by your ankle. Whereas when you flex your foot, you'll feel it more in your calf and hamstring. And you can even clasp around the back of your leg and start to pull in a bit as you do this flexing. And the more you pull in, the more you'll probably feel it on your hamstrings, but don't overdo it. Just noticing how you feel. You might want to give a bit of a bend in that left knee as you do this. Just flexing and straightening those feet and feeling into that stretch in your calf and hamstring, your ankle. And lowering that leg and switching out. So extending the left leg, tucking the right knee into your chest, clasping around that right knee. And again, drawing circles with that right knee, opening that right hip crease. Again, I can also feel some tightness in my right hip. Trying to keep your sit bones on the ground here. As much as possible. And then switching directions. So whatever way you were doing circles, do the opposite way. Noticing here as you lay on your back, if you're keeping a long spine or if you're cranking in your neck. It's really easy to kind of be looking backwards, right? Kind of focus on tucking your chin down here, keeping a long spine. And then extending your right leg up towards the sky, and same as we did on the other side, flexing and straightening that foot. So feeling into that, and if you want, again, clasping your hands behind your right leg and pulling in slightly. And the more you bend that right knee, the more you can kind of get a hamstring stretch and pull in a bit. And as always, noticing how it feels and not pushing yourself to the point of pain, really focusing on getting a stretch in those big areas. So the main parts of our calf here, the main parts of our hamstring, we don't want to be putting too much strain on our ligaments, which are closer to our joints, focusing on those big muscle groups. And again, noticing if you're cranking your neck, tucking that chin down, if you can. Finding length. Focusing on the sensations. And then dropping your right foot down to the mat, so keeping that right knee bent. And then so with this right knee bent, we'll cross over the left ankle on top of the right thigh, kind of by the right knee, into our figure four. So from here, you can keep it on the ground. This gives you a big enough stretch, kind of in your left inner thigh, left quad, or you can lift your right foot off that, pulling your legs towards you, clasping your hands around the right thigh, and then using your left elbow to push against your inner left thigh. So that kind of opens your left hip, helps you get that nice glute stretch on the left side. And if you want, you can keep this right knee bent or send it up to the sky and again get that hamstring calf stretch from that right leg. Just playing with it here, playing with the placement of your left ankle on your right leg. You may want to kind of almost rotate it towards the side, noticing how if you kind of move it up or down a bit or further over towards the right or to the left, you can get different sensations in that left glute. Breathing here still. And then keeping your left ankle where it is, fully bending that right knee if it's not already, dropping the right foot back down onto the mat. So you just have your right foot on the mat and it's bent and you're kind of in this figure four still. And what on my next count, we'll be using our core muscles to lift our low back off the mat and come into a bridge. So a bridge with our figure four at the same time. So placing your hands on the mat, on your inhale, clenching your abs, lifting your low back off the mat, coming into this bridge variation, holding here for 3, 2, 1, and slowly lowering all the way down. We'll do that one more time. Inhaling to clench your muscles together, lifting up into your bridge, pull the shoulder blades, open to the chest, and exhale. So slowly lower down. And now we'll do opposite sides. So bending your left knee, placing your right ankle on top of that left thigh, kind of up by the left knee joint. And as I mentioned before, if you want to stay in this position with your left foot planted firmly on the ground and the knee pushing on this right leg, you can do that. Or lifting the left foot off the mat, bringing your hips towards you, clasping your hands around your left hamstring, and then using your right elbow to push into your right inner thigh and really get a nice glute stretch. Here, focusing on flexing your right foot so we can protect our right knee, and either keeping your left knee bent or extending it up towards the sky, and you can flex that left foot if you want, getting an extra calf stretch there. So kind of doing a double stretch all in one. We like to optimize all the efficiency here. Noticing how your right glute feels compared to your left. Noticing if there's a difference here. And keeping focus and awareness on that neck as well. So if you have been clenching into your neck like this, draw those shoulders down and away, lengthen the spine as much as you can. And then keeping your right ankle where it is, slowly lowering the left foot down towards the mat, bending. And as we do on the opposite side, we'll be coming into a bridge variation. So on your inhale, clenching your core, lifting your low back off the mat, opening through the chest. And as you exhale, slowly lowering down. One more time, inhaling to lift into bridge, using your quads, your core, and exhale to slowly lowering down. From here, taking both of your knees into your chest and rocking side to side. As we rock, we're going to slowly rock up to seated position. So we're rocking up to seated, and then taking your toes together, your knees wide apart, into a child's pose. The beloved child's pose. And from here, what I ask you to do, extending your arms up towards the sky, making it so your elbows are really close to your head as much as you can, and then bending the elbows, placing the hands one on top of the other, and placing it kind of at the back of your neck here, and focusing on getting an opening in your left and kind of your triceps here. You may even want to walk your hands forward a bit more so that you're not resting your glutes on your legs, focusing really on getting that opening here in your lats and your triceps. So feeling into that, breathing in through your belly as we do this, really focusing on relaxing all those muscles, doing our deep belly breath that we always do. Use a note from Joy. I hope you can hear now, Joy. Hopefully. If anyone else can't hear, let me know. It looks like Joy wasn't able to hear, but hopefully it's working now. Okay, so from We're placing child's pose, walking yourself back up so that you're seated on your heels. So from the seat on your heels, taking your shoulders down and away, centering, taking a moment here. And we're going to clasp our hands behind us, pulling them away and open through our chest. So pulling down and away, and you should try and feel this right here along kind of the front of your neck and the scalenes. So clasping the hands together, making it so that your palms are hopefully touching and really focusing on opening that chest, the front of your body. Breathing deeply. And then from here, unclasping your hands, pushing them forward. So pushing both your hands forward, your shoulder blades push apart, looking down, finding that opposite flexion here. And then as you inhale, coming back to a neutral spine. So our next movement is going to be more of a bit of a dynamic movement, focusing on bringing a little more energy and doing with our breath. We've done this movement before, so you might be familiar with it. But what we'll be doing is we inhaling to rise up towards the sky, reaching our arms up. As we exhale, folding into a child's pose. And on our inhale, sliding forward into an upward facing dog. And then as we exhale, sitting back on our heels. So we'll be doing that about 5 times with our breath. And that was kind of a demo to give you an idea of what we'll be doing. So to begin, cleansing, exhale all the way out. And inhaling to reach your arms up towards the sky, rise up. And exhale, float it down into our child's pose, knees together. Inhale, sweep forward, upward facing dog, keeping those elbows straight. And exhale to sit back onto your heels, grounding into it. Inhale to rise up, reach the arms up towards the sky, reach, and exhale, rain it down into your child's pose. Feel the stretch in your low back. Inhale to sweep forward into your upward facing dog. And exhale to sit back. Inhale, really with your breath here. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sweep it down. Child's pose. Inhale, coming forward into the upward facing dog. Open to the chest. Open your heart up. And exhale, sit back on your heels. Do this 2 more times. Inhale to sweep your arms up. Feel the stretch in your side body. Exhale, slide it down into your child's pose. Inhale, sweep it forward, upward facing dog. Open your chest. Shoulder blades press together and exhale, taking it back, sitting on your heels. Last time, inhaling to reach up to the sky. Exhale, slide it forward into your child's pose. Inhaling to sweep forward into that upward facing dog and exhale, sending it back onto your heels. From here, we'll do just a bit of a twist from the seated position. Inhaling to lengthen, and as you exhale, twisting a bit over towards the right, taking your left hand to your right knee, reaching the right hand behind you, looking over your right shoulder. Breathing here for a moment. On your next exhale, coming back to center. Inhaling to lengthen, and exhale to twist over towards the left. Just a really small twist here. Right hand to left knee, left hand spirals behind, looking over your left shoulder. Breathing deeply. On your next exhale, coming back forward, we'll walk our hands forward and come into a few cat-cows. So really focusing on opening your shoulders here. So on our exhale, we'll push the shoulder blades apart, tucking your tailbone under, looking down, open those shoulder blades as you feel it on your upper back body. And inhale to tuck your belly down, pull the shoulder blades together, open, and looking up towards the sky. Exhaling back into your cat, tucking the chin, pull the shoulder blades away. Inhaling back into your cow. Feel those shoulder blades come together. Exhaling back into your cat. And inhale one last time. Into your cow, drop that belly. Exhaling here to a neutral spine, walking your hands forward a bit, and then we'll slowly lower ourselves down using the strength of your core and your arms to lower yourself down onto the mat, all the way down to your belly. Taking your forearms onto the ground on either side of your chest, engaging through your core here, and then as you inhale, lifting your chest off the mat, pulling the shoulder blades together, open that chest. Breathing deeply. And as you exhale, slowly lower it down. We're doing this 2 more times, opening the chest. Inhale, engage the core, lift chest off the mat, really focusing on opening the chest by pulling the shoulder blades together. And exhale, lowering it all the way down. One last time, inhaling, really use that core, not all your back strength. And by doing that, we're hoping to open our whole back, not just our low back. And pulling those shoulder blades, and exhale, dropping it all down onto the mat. From here, clasping your hands together behind you. So clasping your hands, kind of resting them on your low back or your glutes, making it so your palms are pressing into each other, engaging through your core again. And here on our next inhale, we're gonna lift your chest off the mat, open to the chest, holding here for 3, 2, 1, exhale to lower it all the way down. With just one more time. Again, clasping your palms together as much as you can. And on your next inhale, engaging through your core, lifting the chest off the mat, pulling your arms off of your low back so you find an extra opening here. Then exhale to slowly lower it down. Placing your palms on either side of your chest. Lifting back up into a bit of a tabletop almost, but tucking the back toes under, and we'll send our hips up into our very first downward dog. So from here, walking your dog a bit, noticing how this feels. Opening your calves and your hamstrings. Feeling this out. And then letting your left heel ground into the mat, extending your right leg up towards the sky, coming into 3-legged dog. And as you exhale, coming forward, stepping your right foot in between your hands and dropping the left knee down onto the mat, coming into this low lunge. From our low lunge, clasping the hands behind you again, so those palms are coming together, and open to the chest. So extend, pull the shoulder blades together, reaching those hands out behind you off of your back. And as you do this, engage your core and slowly starting to lean forward. So we open those left quad, but still getting that shoulder opener at the same time. Breathing deeply here. And then from here, taking your hands on your hips, hands on the hips, keeping the back toes tucked under as they're not right now, and lifting up into a runner's lunge. So now our knees are off the mat, we're kind of in a lunge here. And instead of doing that behind the arm variation, we're going to do eagle arms. So crossing one arm over the other, placing it so that one fingertip is in the palm of the other, and pulling the shoulder blades away. So pulling the shoulder blades apart, opening through our upper back. And if you want, you can even do a bit of a back bend and reach the arms up towards the sky. So here we're getting a stretch in our left quad and opening the shoulders all at once. Breathing deeply here. And then exhale, dropping the hands back to your hips, and it will straighten the front leg and pivot on both of your feet so that we're in a wide-legged stance. So from this wide-legged stance, we'll place our hands on our hips if they're not already, folding forward. And then again, clasp those hands together. So here, clasping those hands together and letting them fall forward towards your head as much as possible. Again, opening through your chest. Here, taking a bend in your knees if you need, focusing on still getting a hamstring stretch. You may want to be pigeon-toed and have your toes face towards the middle of the mat if you'd like. Breathing into our belly here. Focusing on opening all those areas. Noticing if maybe even the side of your calf is getting a stretch if your toes are pointed inwards a bit. And then from here, unclasping your hands, having them fall to your low back and then onto your hips. And again, using your core, bending your knees, and standing all the way up back into our wide-legged stance here. From here, pivoting your feet so you're facing forward again, bending into this front knee, and we'll drop our hands down to the mat. Step back into a plank. Sweep forward into an upward facing dog. And exhale back into a downward facing dog. This time grounding the right heel into the mat, extending your left leg up towards the sky, coming into a three-legged dog. And as it is the opposite side, coming forward, stepping the left leg in between your hands, dropping the right knee down to the mat. Opening that right quad. If you'd like taking your hands together, we can do a couple of different variations here. One is to reach the arms up towards the sky. So if you feel this is going to open your shoulders more, you can take this stance, or hands clasped like this behind you with arms kind of reaching but bent. Or if you'd like, hands clasped down behind you but opposite elbows, or what we did before, which is our palms together and opening to the chest. So I'm going to take this stance with opposite elbows, clasping, arms reaching up towards the sky, opening to the chest. And again here, engaging through your core and leaning forward so you can focus on opening that right quad. Breathing deeply. And then wherever your hand position is, slowly dropping them to your hips. If the back toe isn't tucked under, tuck it under. And we'll rise up, lifting that knee off the mat, coming into this low lunge. From the low lunge, we're again going to do our eagle arms. So really still focusing on getting a stretch here in your right quad. And whatever arm you did last time, on top, we're going to do the opposite. So last time I did my left on top, so now I'm going to do my right on top. And again, focusing on opening those shoulders and clasping those hands together. Engaging through your core here, your legs might be starting to shake a bit. And if you like, you can reach your arms up towards the sky a bit and open through your shoulders, give a bit of a back bend. Breathing deeply. Opening to that right quad. And using those core muscles. And then slowly unclasping your hands, bringing them to your hips. And then we'll straighten that front knee and pivot our legs to the side, so our feet to the side. From here, we're going to come into Skandasana on either side. So with your hands and your hips, starting to bend into either side. So one side and then the other, bending your knees. Feeling into that. And then now we're going to completely bend into this right knee, reaching our hands towards the floor, flexing that left foot. And you may be on your right tippy toes. I know I am. If you can reach your heel to the ground, kudos to you. I cannot do that. And if you'd like here, you can place your hands on the floor for balance. Or if you are balanced, you can place your hands in prayer, or place your right hand down on the mat, and reach your left arm up towards the sky, finding an opening and a bit of a twist here. So focusing on getting a stretch in your inner left thigh, as well as your inner right thigh. Reaching that arm up if you can, taking one of those variations. And then from wherever you are, placing your hands onto the mat to support you as you slowly raise back up into your upward stance. And if you want, you can come all the way up, or you can be in somewhat of a fold here to help you as you support yourself to bend into that left knee, so the opposite side. And again, flexing that right foot. And you can keep your hands on the mat if you'd like for support, or bring your hands into prayer, or place your left hand down on the mat and reach your right arm up towards the sky, finding that opening. So it's up to you, whichever variation you want, as long as you can feel a nice stretch here in your inner left and right thigh. Opening deeply, breathing deep. And then wherever you are, placing both hands on the mat to support you and pushing yourself into a wide-legged forward fold. So again, we're coming into the wide-legged forward fold, walking your hands forward a bit. So now we're in a wide-legged downward dog. Focusing on being pigeon-toed here. So pull your toes so that they're facing towards the middle of the mat. And here we should be getting a bit of a stretch on our calves, our outer calves, and a bit of your hamstrings. letting the weight of your hips kind of drag down your shoulders here. This is also a nice lat opener, focusing on letting your shoulders open. When you're ready, walking your hands back up into your wide-legged forward fold. We'll tuck your tailbone under here so that you can kind of engage into your belly. Placing your hands on your hips, bending your knees and rising all the way up here. So rising all the way up. From this stance, we're going to again pivot towards the front of our mat again, bending into that front knee. You may want to come up onto the heel there and do the ball of your feet of the right leg, taking your hands down to the mat, stepping left foot back into plank, sweeping forward into an upward facing dog, and exhale back into that child's pose. This time I'd like you to do a close like a child's pose to help open up our back. So when we do this, and we're breathing here into our chest, our collarbones to help us open and give more space into your upper back. So feeling your upper back round. If you want, you can grab a pillow and place it on your thigh here, because that'll give you more of a curling in your spine. So folding forward here like this. Breathing deeply. Noticing how that feels. I really like you to breathe deeply into your belly and into your chest. You can feel your diaphragm change shape. Feel your chest expand. You may even want to let your hands fall down and away behind you. Breathing deeply. When you're ready, pushing yourself back up into a seated position. We'll walk our hands forward a bit again. Tuck the back toes under and send the hips back into a downward dog. This time, stepping the right foot onto the outside of your right hand and stepping your left foot on the outside of your left hand, coming down into our wide-legged stance here. So from here, placing your hands, I'll put it so you guys can see, placing your hands in prayer if you can. If your heels don't come down to the mat, there's no issue. Like we're still getting a good stretch of our inner thighs here as we are in this posture. Breathing through your belly here as we go. Noticing how this feels in your hips. It can be pretty intense. If with your hands in prayer is too much, you can always place your hands on the floor as balance. But as always, breathing deeply. Now from here, I'm going to pivot back towards the front. From here, placing your hands on the ground if they're not already, leaning forward and rising up into a forward fold, bringing your feet hip distance apart. And we'll bend into our knees here and rock side to side. Bending in, noticing how it feels in your calves, your hamstrings, rounding your back as much as you want. Giving that nice stretch. And coming back to center, stilling yourself. We'll inhale to a halfway lift, hands to shins, flat back. And exhale, fold it down. Inhale, root to rest, reach your arms up towards the sky. Noticing how it feels, reach, looking up towards the heavens, and exhale, hands down to heart center. Taking a centering breath here. Maybe you're thinking of that thing you were grateful for. Grounding into the moment. And then inhaling back up, reaching those arms up towards the sky, and exhale. Floating it down, bending those knees, both of them, planting your fingertips to your palms, bending those knees, as I said, and stepping just your left foot back, planting your palms as much as you can, and then stepping your right foot back into our plank posture. From here, we're going to send our hips back into a downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, sink your left heel into the mat, extend the right leg up towards the sky, and as you exhale, bring your right knee to right wrist, sink into your pigeon posture. So this should really give a deep opening into your left quad your right glute. Focus on the hips here. And if you want, or if this is too much for you, we can again do a different figure four, which is seated figure four like this, crossing your knee. So if you have any issues with your knee, you can do this modification of, or if you have a block or pillow, you can always use that to support the hip that is forward in your pigeon. So whichever is going to work best for you here. Staying in upright pigeon if that's what you feel like, if you want to get a stretch in your left quad, or coming forward into the sleeping pigeon, focusing on the right glute here. Breathing into your hips, opening all those muscles, allowing them to relax as you exhale, focusing on those areas. So bringing your attention to your hips and consciously relaxing them as you exhale. And then when you're ready, if you're in your sleeping pigeon, coming back up and tucking your left toe underneath will push off the mat and extend the right leg back, coming into this three-legged dog again. Dropping the right foot down, placing that heel into the mat, extending your left leg up to the sky, so three-legged dog with your left leg extended, and exhale, coming forward, bringing left knee to left wrist, sinking into your pigeon on the opposite side. Breathing deep here, and as we did on the opposite side, again, you can always take a variation with any of the postures, including pigeon. Pigeon can be really intense on your left knee, so if you feel that, you can come into that figure four variation, or on your back, or seated. So it's always mindful, we don't want to injure ourselves. Now, so if you're here, either an upright pigeon or coming into sleeping pigeon, forearms down onto the mat, or if you have a block or a pillow you can rest your head on, feel free to do that. Really playing around with what's going to give you the most comfort here. And breathing into those hips, focusing your attention on your hips. Noticing your mind is starting to wander to something you have to do today or something in the past. And just staying present with the sensation of this posture. The hip openers can be really intense. So sometimes we'll avoid the feeling that we are feeling by thinking of other things, distracting our mind. But I invite you to be present here. Breathing into those hips, sending all that oxygen, CO2 into your belly and focusing your energy there. When you're ready, if you're in sleeping pigeon, pressing yourself back up into upright pigeon, opening through that right quad if you haven't already, tucking the right toes under, and then sending your left leg back into your three-legged dog again. And then dropping the left leg down, coming forward into your plank, sweeping into an upward facing dog, and then exhale, coming back into a child's pose. So after we do all that opening in our quads, it's always nice to counter it with a nice fold forward for our low back. Coming into that child's pose. And then when you're ready, rising up, extending your legs in front of you. If you'd like to have your knees bent for some support of your core, feel free to do so. And we'll slowly lower onto our backs, either with your hands placed on the mat to support you, or hands clasped together to use your core to lower all the way down. So lowering all the way down, you can either keep your knees bent here, or we're going to come into a happy baby. So clasping your hands onto the outside of your feet, extending your legs up towards the sky, keeping a bend in those knees, then rocking side to side. Get a little back massage and an inner thigh massage at the same time. Breathing here. Keeping that neck long, as we mentioned earlier. And then letting your feet come down to the mat, still keeping a bend in your knees. Knees as your feet as wide as your mat. And we'll start to rock our legs side to side. So windshield wiper those legs side to side. Noticing how that feels. Opening a bit here, finding that nice range of motion in our hips. And then as always, I would invite everyone to find a final posture that is going to be best for them. So if you feel a need for a twist, feel free to come into a twist of your choice, perhaps with your knees together and then letting them fall over to one side, like a reclined twist. Or if you'd like, you can come again into that figure four. If you want some more glute stretching, feel free to come into that. Or you can come into a shoulder stand if you'd like, or another bridge this time, bridge and then pulling those shoulder blades together. So whatever final posture your body feels like it needs, we're all different. That's why I always like to help us cultivate that awareness at the end of our practice, focusing on what our body feels is missing, because it's going to be different for everyone. So maybe a shoulder stand that's in your practice, or maybe you want to come straight into your Shavasana. So I invite you, as soon as you're finished doing whatever final asana is best for you, coming into a final resting pose, your Shavasana. That could be with your legs extended in corpse pose, or maybe your knees bent, or maybe in a child's pose or fetal position. Taking that final moment for yourself here. Relaxing completely into the mat. When you're ready, keeping your eyes closed. Maybe start to rock your head side to side, wiggle your fingers and toes, wake up your body a bit. And then slowly rolling over onto one side, perhaps using your hand or shoulder or tricep as a pillow. And pushing yourself back up into that seated position. Could be cross-legged, perhaps you're sitting on your heels. Taking a moment here, right before we end our practice, to call your attention to the thing that you are grateful for at the beginning of our practice. Now that perhaps your nervous system is in a little bit of a different state, grounding back into that emotion. So thinking of the same thing that you thought of at the beginning of our practice. And maybe placing your hands over your heart, noticing how recalling that thing you're grateful for, and how that changes your emotions, how that changes your physiology, how you feel. Maybe closing your eyes, bringing your attention to your chest, your body. How does thinking of that thing you're grateful for affect you? And then when you're ready, coming back into the moment, maybe opening your eyes if they aren't already, bringing your hands to your, maybe still at your chest, maybe at your knees, maybe at heart center. Thank yourself for showing up on the mat, as always, for taking the time out for your body, for your mind. not just good for our bodies and for our hips and our shoulders, but yoga is also a practice of focusing our attention on the sensations, and it can be a very meditative practice if we allow it to be. So thank yourself for coming and arriving here today, even though it's virtual. And thank you for allowing me to be your guide. It's always a privilege to share the knowledge of yoga. So everyone has an awesome weekend. Namaste.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, Deirdre. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.